There is a role that many of us learn to play. It is a noble role, a respected one. It is the role of the helper, the listener, the problem solver. You are the one your friends call in a crisis. You are the one who can sense the unspoken sadness in a room. You carry the emotional weight of your family. You are the rock, the rescuer, the healer. People tell you that you are a good person for this, kind, empathetic, and you wear this identity with a quiet pride. But there is a secret cost that you rarely speak of, a deep, persistent exhaustion, a feeling that you are a lifeboat taking on everyone else's water while you are slowly, silently beginning to sink. You are so busy healing others that you have no energy left for yourself. Carl Jung understood this pattern with profound clarity. You feel this is not just being nice. It is a deep, unconscious psychological strategy. For Carl Jung, the compulsive need to fix or save others was often the clearest sign of a person who was avoiding their own wounds. It is the call of the archetype he named the wounded healer. We will discover why so many of us are driven to heal the world as a way of avoiding the healing we need to do within. We will uncover the high price of this noble sacrifice, and we will learn about the profound transformation that occurs when you finally make the most difficult and courageous decision of all, to turn your healing gaze away from others and focus it back upon yourself, because the moment you stop trying to heal everyone else is the moment your own true healing can finally begin. To understand the compulsive helper, we must first understand the wound that creates them. This pattern does not begin in adulthood. It is forged in the environment of early childhood. Often the person who becomes the wounded healer grew up in a home where their own emotional needs were not the priority. They may have had a parent who was emotionally volatile, depressed, or unavailable. The child learns a crucial survival strategy very early on. My needs are not important. My job is to manage the emotional state of the people around me. If they are calm, I am safe. If they are happy, I am loved. Think of a small child sitting at a dinner table where their parents are having a silent, tense argument. The air is thick with unspoken anger. The child, feeling this instability, will unconsciously try to fix it. They might tell a joke to break the tension. They might become extra good to not add any more stress. They learn that their value and their safety comes from their ability to manage and soothe the feelings of others. This child becomes an expert at reading the emotional weather of a room. They develop a hypervigilance to the needs of others because their own well-being depends on it. They are praised for being mature, so easy, such a good helper. And a core identity is born: I am the one who fixes. As this child grows into an adult, the pattern continues. But now the whole world becomes their family dinner table. They are drawn to people who are in pain, who are in chaos, who need saving. Their relationships are often not between two equals, but between a healer and a patient. They attract projects, not partners. They offer advice that isn't asked for. They give their energy away until there is nothing left. This is the central paradox of the wounded healer. They have a genuine gift for empathy. They can truly see the wounds in others, but they are using that gift as a shield. It is like a doctor with a severely broken leg who refuses to look at his own injury. Instead, he spends all his days limping around a hospital, diagnosing and treating the minor cuts and bruises of his patients. He is a genuinely skilled doctor. But his focus on others is a sophisticated way of avoiding the excruciating pain in his own leg. His own most serious wound remains unhealed. The compulsive need to heal others is the act of focusing on their cuts and bruises to avoid the agony of your own brokenness. The cost of this pattern is immense. The first and most obvious is burnout. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Imagine your life energy as a bucket of water. Every time you give advice, listen to a problem, or absorb someone's pain, you are pouring out a cup of your water for them. This is a beautiful act, but if you are constantly pouring out and never taking the time to refill your own bucket, eventually you will run dry. And a person with an empty bucket cannot help anyone, least of all themselves. Many compulsive helpers are living in a state of profound chronic drought. The second cost is more subtle. You begin to attract relationships that are based on this imbalance. You become an emotional landfill for others. People learn that you are a place where they can dump their emotional waste, and you will dutifully accept it because it validates your identity as the helper. You create a life full of people who take, and you forget how to connect with people who can also give. But the deepest cost is the abandonment of your own life. Every hour you spend trying to solve someone else's problems is an hour you are not spending on your own journey of individuation. Every piece of advice you give them is a piece of wisdom you are not applying to yourself. You become an expert on every life except the one you are actually living. Your own potential, your own creativity, your own joy remain dormant, waiting for the healer to finally come home. So, how does one break this pattern? It requires a terrifying act. It requires you to consciously decide to disappoint people. It requires you to learn the most difficult word in the helper's vocabulary: no. The turning point is the moment you realize that your help is not always helping. Sometimes your help is actually enabling. You are taking away another person's opportunity to find their own strength, to learn their own lessons. By constantly rushing in to save them, you are robbing them of their own journey. Think of a butterfly struggling to get out of its chrysalis. A kind-hearted person might see this struggle and decide to help. They carefully cut the chrysalis open, allowing the butterfly to emerge easily, but the butterfly will die. The struggle to break free is what pushes the fluid from its body into its wings, giving them the strength to fly. The help that avoided the struggle also prevented the strength. When you constantly save others, you are preventing them from developing their own wings, and you are avoiding the necessary struggle of developing your own. The most compassionate act is often to step back, to trust that others have the strength to face their own challenges, and to turn your attention to the one person you have been neglecting for so long, yourself. This is the act of dropping the rope. You must be willing to sit with the immense guilt that will arise. The part of you that learned my value comes from my usefulness will scream in protest. It will tell you that you are being selfish. This is the voice of the old pattern, fighting for its survival. When you start to reclaim your energy, the world around you changes. First, you will be shocked at how much time and mental space becomes available to you. The constant low-level hum of worrying about other people's problems begins to fade, and in that new silence you can finally begin to hear your own voice, your own needs, your own desires. It is like a gardener who has spent years obsessively tending to all of her neighbors' gardens. Her own plot of land is barren and full of weeds. The day she decides to stop working on their gardens and starts tending to her own, everything changes. At first it is hard work. She must pull the weeds of guilt and self-neglect. But then she can begin to plant the seeds of her own life. She discovers what flowers she wants to grow, not the ones that would please the neighbors. Your relationships will go through a profound realignment. Some people, the ones who were only there for what you could give them, will drift away. This will be painful, but it is a necessary cleansing. Other people will be inspired by your newfound strength and will begin to meet you as an equal. And you will start to attract new people into your life who are not looking for a healer but for a whole person. But the most profound change happens within. You learn to offer yourself the same compassion you so freely gave to others. You become your own source of comfort, your own rock. You learn to listen to your own sadness without judgment. You learn to validate your own feelings without needing external approval. This is the true meaning of healing. It is not the absence of wounds. It is the act of turning towards your own wounds with love and attention. You discover that the deep wisdom you used to understand others' pain was always meant for you. You were a doctor trying to heal the world when you were the patient who needed your attention the most. When you heal yourself, you do not lose your gift of empathy. On the contrary, it becomes more powerful. You no longer help from a place of empty sacrifice. You help from a place of full-bodied strength. It is the difference between a flight attendant who puts the oxygen mask on a passenger first and one who puts it on herself first. The one who sacrifices herself may save one person, but she will be of no use to anyone else on the plane. The one who secures her own oxygen supply first remains conscious, strong, and able to help everyone else on the plane calmly and effectively. True service comes from wholeness, not from self-abandonment. When you stop trying to heal others, you do not become selfish. You become a true healer. You become a lighthouse. You no longer exhaust yourself by jumping into the stormy seas to rescue every passing ship. You stand on your own solid ground and you shine your light, showing others how to navigate their own storms. Your life is not a problem to be solved for others. It is a masterpiece to be created by you. And the moment you finally pick up your own tools and start working on your own canvas is the moment you become the person you were always meant to be.